Gold. You see it as a symbol of wealth, of love, of luxury. It is the glint on a wedding ring, the shine of a trophy, the heart of a treasure chest. But what if I told you that this metal has more blood on it than any sword in history? What if I told you that its story is not written in poetry, but in the ledger books of empires and the last wills of conquered kings? This is the story of gold's true power, the power to build civilizations and to burn them to the ground. This is the hidden history of how a simple, inert metal became the secret engine behind the rise and fall of empires, the silent funder of the world's most brutal wars, and the ultimate puppet master of human history. Our story begins not in a palace, but deep beneath the earth, in the suffocating darkness of a Roman mine. Here, tens of thousands of slaves, treated as less than human, clawed at the rock. Their lives were short, their suffering immense. But the shimmering dust they extracted was the lifeblood of the greatest empire the world had yet seen. Rome was not built on marble and ideals alone. It was built on gold. The gold from these mines paid for its unstoppable legions, funding every campaign from the misty shores of Britannia to the deserts of Mesopotamia. It paved the roads, built the aqueducts, and financed the grand monuments designed to project eternal power. The gold coin of the empire, the aureus, was more than just money. It was a promise, a symbol of Roman authority that unified 100 different cultures under a single economic fist. As long as the gold flowed, the empire was invincible. When the mines ran dry, the cracks in the foundation of Rome began to show. But long before Rome, another civilization understood gold's power, not just on earth, but in the heavens. In ancient Egypt, gold was not merely a currency, it was the flesh of the gods. The pharaohs, who declared themselves living deities, adorned themselves and their tombs with spectacular amounts of it. The famous death mask of Tutankhamun wasn't just an artistic masterpiece, it was a statement of divine right. By controlling the gold, the pharaohs controlled the gateway to the afterlife. It gave them absolute, unquestionable authority over their people, turning a metal into the ultimate tool of social and religious control. For centuries, the balance of power was tethered to the gold held in the old world. Then a new age dawned, an age of exploration, or, to call it by its true name, an age of conquest. In the early 16th century, Spanish conquistadors like Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro sailed across the Atlantic. They weren't driven by a desire for knowledge, but by an insatiable, feverish lust for gold. They had heard whispers of cities paved with it, of kings who bathed in it. When Cortés arrived in the Aztec Empire, he found a civilization of immense sophistication. He also found gold in quantities beyond his wildest dreams. He and his men were welcomed as guests, but they saw their hosts only as obstacles.
Through treachery, disease, and brutal warfare, they tore the Aztec Empire apart, melted down its priceless cultural artifacts into crude bars of bullion, and shipped them back to Spain. Pizarro would repeat this horrific playbook in the Inca Empire, executing its leader even after a ransom room was filled with gold for his release. This was not a clash of civilizations. It was a corporate raid on a continental scale. The consequences were world-altering. A tidal wave of New World gold and silver flooded Europe. Spain, momentarily the richest nation on earth, paradoxically sowed the seeds of its own decline. The sudden influx of wealth created hyperinflation, crushing its domestic economy. But more importantly, the center of global power shifted. The financial axis tilted from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic nations, Spain, Portugal, England, and the Netherlands, who now controlled the trade routes and the treasure fleets. The modern world, with its globalized economy and interconnected markets, was born from this brutal, gold-fueled conquest. We are only halfway through uncovering these hidden histories. If you find this journey into the dark side of power as fascinating as I do, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next as we enter the age of modern warfare, where gold became the most silent and deadliest weapon of all.
As centuries passed, the nature of power evolved. Empires were now built not just with armies, but with industries, banks, and global supply chains. Yet gold's role as the ultimate arbiter of power did not diminish. It simply became more sophisticated, more secretive. By the dawn of the 20th century, the world operated on the gold standard. A nation's currency was only as strong as the gold it held in its vaults. When the cataclysm of World War I erupted in 1914, this system was put to the ultimate test. Britain, the financial center of the world, entered the war with vast gold reserves. This gold was its ultimate weapon. It wasn't fired from a cannon, but it allowed the British government to secure enormous loans from the then neutral United States. This credit line, managed by bankers like J.P. Morgan, was the lifeline that supplied the Allied forces with weapons, food, and fuel. Gold was the collateral for victory. Germany, on the other hand, faced a starkly different reality. Blockaded by the Royal Navy and isolated from global financial markets, its gold reserves were trapped. Berlin had no choice but to turn inward, launching massive war bond drives, urging its own citizens to finance the slaughter. It was a pyramid scheme built on patriotism and promises. When Germany was defeated, those bonds became worthless paper, wiping out the life savings of a generation and planting the seeds of bitterness that would later blossom into the horrors of Nazism. The lesson was learned. In World War II, gold was weaponized with even greater ruthlessness. One of Hitler's first strategic objectives was not just to conquer nations, but to capture their central banks. The Nazis systematically looted the gold reserves of Austria, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and across Europe. This stolen gold financed their war machine, allowing them to purchase critical raw materials from neutral countries. It was a war funded by grand larceny. Even after the fall of Berlin, this Nazi gold played a final dark role, allegedly helping high-ranking war criminals escape justice through clandestine networks.
The world that emerged from the ashes of 2 world wars was a world dominated by a new superpower, the United States. Its industrial base was untouched, and its vaults at Fort Knox overflowed with the majority of the world's gold. Under the Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944, the US dollar, pegged to gold at a fixed rate, became the world's reserve currency. For a time, it seemed gold had finally been tamed, locked away as a quiet anchor for a new era of prosperity. That illusion shattered on August 15, 1971. President Richard Nixon, facing rising inflation and the immense costs of the Vietnam War, made a stunning announcement. He unilaterally severed the US dollar's connection to gold. The gold window was closed. In that single moment, the fundamental nature of money changed forever. Currency was no longer backed by a tangible asset, but by faith in a government, so-called fiat currency. We have lived in that world ever since. But if you think this made gold irrelevant, you have not been paying attention to the moves on the global chessboard. Why, in an age of digital currency and complex derivatives, are nations like China and Russia buying gold at a record-breaking pace? It is not because they are sentimental. It is a calculated, strategic geopolitical maneuver. For decades, the world has run on the US dollar. This gives America immense economic and political power. By stockpiling massive gold reserves, China and Russia are building a firewall. They are creating an alternative to the dollar system, a hedge against American sanctions, and a foundation for a potential new financial order. They are quietly reminding the world that when faith in promises and politics collapses, only one asset remains trusted: gold. This is the silent Cold War of the 21st century, a war fought not with missiles, but with monetary policy and bullion purchases. Even for the individual, gold's ancient role persists. In times of crisis, a stock market crash, a currency devaluation, a global pandemic, where do investors flock? They run to the perceived safety of gold. It is the ultimate insurance policy, a safe haven when all other systems seem fragile. The story of gold is the story of power itself. It is not just a passive element dug from the ground and shaped into ornaments. It is an active, often brutal force in human history. It has been a tool of divine right for pharaohs, a motive for genocide for conquistadors, the ultimate collateral for victory in global wars, and now a strategic weapon in the great power competition of our time. From the slave mines of Rome to the high-security vaults of the world's central banks, gold's epic story is humanity's story, a reflection of our greatest ambitions, our most brilliant innovations, and our darkest, most destructive impulses. The next time you see it shine, remember its hidden history. Remember the price that was paid, and understand the forces it set in motion are still shaping your world today. What part of gold's hidden history surprised you the most? Do you think gold will play an even bigger role in the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one of them.